Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're shifting gears a bit. We're moving past the usual hype around AI capabilities
Right.
and diving into something maybe less glamorous, but, well, absolutely critical: accountability. We've got some really compelling sources suggesting a, frankly, radical shift is needed.
It's about moving the whole conversation away from just software and stats
Yeah.
and grounding it in physics. Hard physics and hardware.
Okay, physics. We'll definitely unpack that.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to trace this intellectual journey, maybe even an emotional one, for decision makers, CTOs, CEOs.
Right, the people on the hook.
Exactly. Moving them from thinking AI, yeah, it's fine, work in progress, to understanding that actually current AI might be a ticking liability time bomb,
Hmm.
and that the only real fix, according to these sources, is this physics-based approach. They call it the cognitive commitment path.
Yeah, and look, the scale of this challenge is huge. We're not just talking about selling a new tool or software patch here.
No.
No, it's more like architecting a whole new belief system. The sources argue we need to make a hardware-verified solution feel, well, inevitable. Because the risk we're facing right now, it's massive and, crucially, unmeasurable with current methods.
Unmeasurable risk. Okay, that sounds like a good place to start. So let's dig into this liability crisis. The absolute root of it, as our sources frame it, is still the AI black box problem. It hasn't gone away.
Not at all. These models, whether they're generative AI, predictive analytics, you name it, they simply cannot, by their very design, show you concrete proof of why they made a specific decision.
They give you like a confidence score, right? I'm 95% sure.
Exactly. A statistical prediction, which is useful, maybe, but it's absolutely not immutable proof. It's not the reasoning path itself.
And this lack of proof, there's this test the sources mention, the universal test that always fails.
Ah, yes. The cricket's awakening. It's brilliantly simple, really. Imagine you're a top exec, okay? You turn to your AI team, maybe even a big vendor like OpenAI or Google, and you ask this one question.
The critical one.
The critical one. Show me the exact piece of data, the specific input that drove that specific decision. And I need proof validated by the hardware itself.
And the answer is?
Silence. Crickets, that's why they call it that. The systems we use today, they just aren't built to answer that question. The engineering fundamentally doesn't exist in current mainstream AI.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just a theoretical gap. This is hitting companies right now, financially.
Absolutely. This isn't some future problem. Look at the regulatory hammer.
The EU AI Act.
Precisely. The sources are very clear.
Yeah.
Brussels effect is real. EU standards are becoming the global default, whether companies outside the EU like it or not.
And that means mandatory compliance.
Mandatory compliance, coming fast, with teeth. We're talking potential fines up to $35 million. You can't just wish this away.
35 million, okay. And that's just the regulators. What about customers?
Yeah, that's often the angle people miss in the compliance scramble. There's a Gartner report from this year, 2024, highlighted in our materials.
What did it find?
It flags the risk of losing 40% of your customer base after just one unexplainable AI error.
40%. Why so high?
Because trust is incredibly fragile. Think about it. Your AI makes a bad call, denies a loan, causes an accident, whatever. If all you can say is, well, the model was 98% confident, that trust evaporates instantly.
No explanation, no trust.
Exactly. Attribution is key. Without it, customers walk.
And then there's the legal side. The sources call it legal terror.
Yeah, and that's not hyperbole. Picture this. A company gets slapped with a lawsuit. Let's say hiring bias. The claim is the AI systematically screened out a certain group.
Okay. Standard scenario, unfortunately.
Right. Now, discovery phase. The opposing counsel asks, prove to us that the decision not to hire my client wasn't based on biased data or logic.
And without that hardware proof.
You're exposed, potentially looking at judgments north of $100 million, because you simply cannot answer that fundamental question. What data did you use? Why was it prioritized? The black box means you have no defense.
So the typical response, we have monitoring tools, just doesn't cut it.
Not even close. And that's the crucial distinction leaders have to grasp, like yesterday. Monitoring, observability. That tells you how fast the black box is running, maybe its uptime, performance metrics.
Okay.
But it tells you absolutely nothing about why it made the decision. That's attribution. You need the verifiable step-by-step audit trails. Like, you can monitor a car's speed, but that doesn't tell you where the driver intends to go or why.
Observability isn't attribution. That's a really clear takeaway. So if software and stats have led us into this legal and financial minefield, does the solution have to come from somewhere completely different, like outside software?
It absolutely does. And this is where we make that leap into physics. It sounds dramatic maybe, but it's presented as the core technical breakthrough needed to solve that crickets problem.
Right, the sound of silence when you ask for proof.
Exactly. We have to move from just hoping the software behaves predictably
Which it often doesn't.
to actually proving its reasoning, using the undeniable laws of physics operating within the hardware.
Okay, how? How does physics prove AI reasoning? Because, yeah, like you said, I think code, algorithms, data, not electrons and silicon in this context.
It comes down to something the sources call the unity discovery. It's summarized with this elegant little equation, SETAH.
S equals P equals H. What does that stand for?
Semantic IS. Physical IS hardware.
Semantic meaning is physical is hardware. Okay, break that down.
The core idea is this.
Mm-hmm.
Semantic meaning, the actual importance of a piece of data for the AI's decision. It's not just some abstract concept floating in the code. It has to exist physically somewhere.
Okay.
So if you deliberately design the system so that the importance of the data dictates its physical location in memory, then the hardware itself, the silicon, becomes the immutable witness to the reasoning process.
Wait, importance determining memory location, that sounds complex. Are we talking completely new kinds of computer chips here, or can this work on, say, the Intel or AMD chips we already use?
That's the really clever part, I think. It leverages standard existing hardware. The magic isn't exotic new chips. It's in how you manage the memory on those chips. There's a specific methodology mentioned called short rank.
Short rank.
Think of short rank as a highly optimized way to sort data in memory. But instead of just sorting alphabetically or numerically, it uses semantic tags, basically, labels indicating how important each piece of data is.
And what does that sorting achieve?
It forces the most critical information, the most semantically important data, into the physically fastest, most sequential memory locations on the chip.
Okay, sequential memory access. I remember from ComSci that sequential is way faster than random access because of cache hits.
Exactly. You've hit on the link. That's Computer Science 101 meeting accountability. Sequential access absolutely demolishes random access in speed. We're talking 10x, even 100x faster, precisely because random access leads to constant cache misses, which kills performance.
Right, cache misses are slow.
So, by using short rank to put the most important data, the semantic meaning, in those fast, sequential physical spots, you're aligning the AI's need for efficient reasoning with the fundamental physics of how the hardware performs best.
So the AI has to access position 1, then 2, then 3.
Because not only are those the most important factors for the decision, they're also physically the fastest to retrieve. The reasoning path gets literally burned into the memory access pattern by the system's own drive for efficiency.
Okay, that's clever. The performance optimization creates the audit trail. But what's the actual proof? How do you make that trail, verifiable, court admissible even?
The proof comes from standard components already inside the chip itself, things called MSR counters,
MSR.
model-specific registers. They're basically hardware counters built into pretty much all modern Intel and AMD processors. They exist already.
And what do they count?
They meticulously record, down to the microsecond level, every single memory access event, which physical address was touched when, and because it's recorded by the hardware.
It can't be easily faked by software.
Exactly. Electrons don't lie. MSR counters provide an immutable, unforgeable audit trail of precisely which physical memory locations were accessed, in what order during the decision-making process.
And that's the evidence that holds up in court. It's not just, marketing spin.
The argument is, yes, it holds up because it's grounded in physics, not just software logs, which can be manipulated or incomplete. Remember the distinction. Traditional AI gives you proximity. It says, these things are similar because they're close in vector space.
Right. Vector databases.
This physics-based approach gives you meaningful position. Position 1 is the most important factor, position 2 the next, and so on. We're not just arguing similarity, we're demonstrating causality based on the physical access sequence.
So the MSR log showing accesses to positions 1, 47, 203, that is the definitive reasoning path.
That's the claim. The hardware is the witness, and its testimony, the MSR counter log, is verifiable physics. Attribution becomes almost trivial. Just read the log.
Okay, it's a big idea. Realizing you might be able to solve a huge liability crisis using basic computer physics, it's kind of mind-bending.
It really is.
And the sources say people don't just, hear this and immediately accept it, which makes sense. It challenges a lot of existing assumptions.
Absolutely. Decades of belief that statistical models are good enough.
Which is why this cognitive commitment path idea, this sort of belief ladder, is so central to their argument.
Exactly. You need a path. Because you're fundamentally challenging a deeply ingrained culture, shifting an organization, or even just one key leader, from what they call the tribe of statistics to the tribe of physics. Well, it takes time, and it requires different approaches for different people.
Personalized evidence, tailored emotional triggers, that kind of thing.
Precisely. So sources map out these distinct journeys for three key tribes or personas.
Okay, let's walk through them. First up, the CTO, the
Yeah.
technical leaders. What's their journey like?
Their starting point is usually professional frustration. Deep down, they know their current monitoring tools are basically useless for real attribution. They're the ones who first feel that pain of observability isn't attribution.
They see the technical gap.
Right. So their key belief shift happens more on an intellectual level. It's when they grasp that unity, discovery, semantic, IS physical.
Yeah.
They see it's not just abstract governance theory, it's actually elegant, optimized engineering.
The light bulb moment.
Yeah, it's often described as a moment of awe almost, like seeing a fundamental principle click into place. And their commitment signal. It's very practical, very action-oriented. They'll ask things like, what's the implementation timeline? Or just flat out, get me a proposal now.
Makes sense.
Okay, second tribe, the C-level execs, CEO, CFO, the board maybe, different motivations.
Totally different trigger. For them, it's not about elegant engineering. It's about raw fear. Panic, even. Driven by those huge potential downsides we talked about, the $100 million lawsuit risk, the 40% customer loss.
The survival threats. Exactly. Their belief shift is stark and simple. This thing, this lack of attribution, is an existential threat to the business. They don't need to understand short rank or MSR counters.
They just need to know the risk is real and potentially catastrophic.
Right. And they see the solution purely through an investment lens. The ROI isn't about making more money directly. It's about not losing catastrophic amounts of money. It's lawsuit prevention. One big lawsuit avoided pays for implementing this physics-based system many, many times over.
And their commitment signals reflect that urgency.
Absolutely. It's all about mobilizing the organization. Things like, we need board approval on this immediately, or I'm calling an emergency strategy session.
Okay. And the third tribe, insurance and risk managers. Crucial group.
Hugely important. Their starting point is also fear, but it's the fear of the unknown, of unlimited exposure. Their existing actuarial models are completely broken when it comes to pricing AI risk. They literally cannot quantify the danger of a black box.
So they often just exclude AI-related claims.
They're often forced to, yes. Or charge exorbitant premiums. They need a metric, something tangible. So the transformation happens when they realize this physics approach offers a way to actually quantify the risk. The key belief shift is trust debt quantifies.
Trust debt. Explain that term.
Yeah, trust debt is basically the measurable gap between what an AI model promised or demonstrated during its initial controlled training and validation.
What it's supposed to do.
Right, the sex.
Yeah.
And what it actually delivers out there in the messy real world, the do. It measures the model's drift, how far it's strayed from its verified baseline truth over time.
So delta say do, like the change between promise and reality.
Exactly. Using metrics derived from this hardware-level monitoring, like delta say do, they can finally assign a concrete liability cost, a risk score, to using a specific AI model.
That's huge for an insurer.
It changes everything for them. And their ultimate goal, interestingly, isn't just managing risk anymore. It becomes about market domination. They see the opportunity to draft the requirements, to basically make this physics-based verifiable attribution mandatory for any client who wants insurance coverage for their AI systems. They go from being reactive victims of risk to proactively setting the standard for the entire market.
So underpinning all these individual journeys is this bigger picture, this cultural migration, moving the whole company, or at least its leadership, from being tribe A, the statisticians, to tribe B, the physicists.
Yeah, that's the meta strategy, as the sources put it. And it's vital to be really clear about what defines these two tribes.
Okay, define tribe A, the statisticians.
Tribe A is, well, it's the current default for most organizations.
Yeah.
They're comfortable with the status quo, maybe a bit complacent. They fundamentally believe that statistical confidence scores are evidence. They trust the promises made by AI vendors. Their strategy for the future is basically hope. Hope it all works out. Hope they don't get sued.
Sounds vulnerable.
Extremely vulnerable. Now, contrast that with Tribe B, the physicists.
What defines them?
Tribe B operates on a foundation of certainty, not hope. They believe hardware doesn't lie. Their source of truth isn't a vendor's white paper. It's those MSR counters, the physical evidence. And their future strategy isn't just survival, it's about achieving market dominance through provable trustworthiness.
Certainty versus hope, hardware versus promises.
That's the core divide.
And for the person inside the company who gets this, who sees the physics solution is inevitable, their role has to change, right? They can't just be a passive observer.
No, they absolutely must become the prophet, according to the sources. They need to lead this migration. Being a follower means you're already too late.
The prophet. And what's their main message? How do they persuade the rest of Tribe A?
Crucially, the prophet's job isn't to get bogged down arguing about whether a 95% confidence score is better than 96%. That's fighting the old war.
So what do?
Their job is to reveal the undeniable universal truth using that crickets test.
Bring it back to the crickets.
Always. The prophet's talk track is simple, standardized, and, frankly, devastating. They stand up in a meeting and say, look around. Think about every AI vendor we use, every internal model we've built. Not a single one of them can actually answer this fundamental question. Show me exactly which data was used to make that decision and prove it with hardware. Go ahead, ask them.
And the response?
Crickets. That silence, that universal failure, is the truth that forces the conversion. It cuts through all the statistical hand-waving.
It makes the status quo feel suddenly unacceptable.
Completely untenable. And it frames the choice for the organization in very stark terms.
Which is?
Lead this transformation now, embrace the physics, build on certainty, and define the new global standard for trustworthy, verifiable AI. Become Tribe B and dominate. Or wait until one of your competitors gets hit with that landmark $100 million judgment for an AI screw-up.
And then scramble desperately to catch up.
Exactly. Scramble to join the tribe of proof after the damage is done. The whole point of that belief transformation line, or that cognitive commitment path, is to accelerate that ascent. Move your organization from complacent confidence, which is incredibly dangerous,
Stage 1.
all the way up to market leadership, built on verifiable intelligence. Stage 8, as they frame it. #tag outro.
It really is fascinating how this whole process, this path, is described as relying on speed and leverage. One piece clicking into place enables the next.
Yeah, like academic validation of the physics principles allows you to get in the door with the executives. Executive buy-in then forces the issue with risk and insurance. Insurance then sets the market standard. It's designed as an interlocking chain reaction of belief.
A chain reaction grounded in physics.
It really is. We started by saying the problem is technical, the black box. But the solution proposed here, it's fundamentally cultural and architectural. It requires building a new belief system rooted in physics. So you're not really selling software, you're orchestrating collective enlightenment in a way.
Collective enlightenment built on hardware proof. Okay, let's wrap up with that final provocative thought for you, our listener. If the solution to AI's huge existential liability problem really does rest on a fundamental law of physics, semantic is physical,
SOPH.
and if hardware validation, like those MSR counters, is the only form of evidence that can truly withstand legal and regulatory scrutiny,
The only thing that survives the crickets test.
then what is the rational, defensible argument for any organization to consciously choose to remain in the tribe of hope, the tribe of statistics?
What's the logical defense for not moving towards certainty?
Makes you think, which tribe are you currently leading? Or maybe which tribe are you currently in? Something to definitely chew on.